Hello, hello. We are with another workshop today. It's Thursday. The Nostr Hackathon has been going, and it's been fantastic. We have projects, designers coming in as well. Some very cool builder projects on the builder track. And for this workshop today, I wanted to get someone who did some pretty cool. He did a pretty cool nip. It's called Nostr Connect, and what this allows is for people to be able to kind of like not have to copy and paste passwords all the time into like new clients, into random clients. Maybe you have one main client and you can like authenticate to different websites. But yeah, I'm going to butcher the description of this. That's why we got Tiero here. Hey, Tiero.
Hello, greetings.
Thank you, thank you. Tiero's from
Excited to be
Vulpem
here.
Ventures. You're from Vulpem Ventures, and you decided that you wanted to make this NIP for Nostr Connect and solve this problem of like moving keys around to different clients. Could you give some background in it before we get started? Just briefly. I don't need to.
Sure. I'll love it. Yeah, so Nostr have been an amazing growth so far. And in general, what I was saying is like every new client, every new web app was asking user to paste private keys in a browser. And this honestly is literally like not the best practice at all. And so I said, okay, definitely there should be better ways. And in general, there were other solutions like browser extension, but I think the future is mobile, and normal people use mobile phone only mostly. So yeah, so I decided to create a way to basically use Nostr to send messages between web apps and your mobile app or your hardware wallet, whatever. This way you can literally have a remote signer, more secure, in a more secure location, and you can use your web apps in a secure way. And Nostr is the first step, but I also think that the broader Bitcoin ecosystem needs this, right? So a way to connect and use your Bitcoin wallet from your phone and have your web apps to basically interact with it.
All right. Well, I have like so many questions, and when I approached you to do this workshop, you know how excited I am about this kind of mechanism and like the possibilities that it could bring for not just Nostr, but like Bitcoin and like all these different transaction data and even stuff with regards to WebLN or WebBTC. I'm super excited how those things can start working together. But anyway, without further ado, let's not keep people waiting. I'll let you get started. I'll throw the slides up, and I'll be in the background if you need.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So, okay, so we're going to just to briefly see some introduction to Nostr Connect, how it works, a bit under the hood, how the NIP came out of it. And after this, a very quick introduction, I will do a live coding session. Like I will try to take a web app, a client, which was already developed by some other user, and I will try to integrate Nostr Connect using the Nostr Connect SDK for the browser that I developed with other colleagues. So, all right, so let's see. So yeah, the first step that, as I was mentioning briefly before, I really think that pasting your private keys into web apps really is not the best way, and I really think it's not the way we should create and go forward with the Nostr ecosystem. I think that there are other options already which are great, like for example a browser extension. For example, Albi, right? You can use a browser extension, and the browser extension will keep your keys safe and will basically prompt the user, to sign an event or to get a public key and so on and so on. But my main issue with that is like most of the user, like normal people, right, they don't even use desktop at all. They only use mobile phones, and they do anything they do on the web is basically mobile. So I really think that there should be a way to connect mobile phones and your web apps that you are that you're visiting. And I think Nostr itself could have been a great solution to that, right? So you can use Nostr to basically connect your web app, your browser apps to your mobile phone, for example. Let's see very quickly a demo just to understand, how this can work. Let me share my screen. I think that would be. So the idea will be that basically you have on the left your mobile app, your private keys, your Nostr identity is there, right? Your secret, your public key. And the idea will be that when you visit a web app, you basically copy or scan a QR code, right? With this special Connect URI. The user can approve, and via Nostr, basically we share the public key of the mobile app to the web app, so the web app can, create its own, events, and then can prompt again the mobile app to say, hey, do you want to sign this message? And basically what will be done is like never having, a private key in this web app, but just keeping the keys on your mobile phone. So this was a very short demo. We were going to do a live coding later and try to implement live, but this is just to give a little glimpse, I guess, of how Nostr Connect will work. So let's define first the actors, right? So just to understand how the protocol works. I think, again, there are two main actors. One is your app, which can be, Snore.social or Coracle, or can be any, Nostr client that you already, used to use, right? So it's usually a web app. And basically, these apps will require to fetch a Nostr public key and also to prompt our signer to sign some events, right? When you want to send a note, you are actually signing a Nostr event. Then on the other side, you have a signer, right? Which can be most likely a mobile app, but it can even be a CLI, it can even be any other remote signer that you want, as long as this signer has internet connection, so it can connect to the same relay. Anything can be a signer. So yeah, let's think about it as a mobile app, like as the most common use case for this. How it works in practice. This is just the only bit technical protocol, that I will tell you about. I think that the gist is that both the app and the signer are sending each other, encrypted ephemeral messages through Nostr using a special kind, which is 24133. It's just random number, very high, which basically means is ephemeral, and the relay they will not persist. They're not forced to persist these events. They are encrypted, the events, so actually relay don't know what you're doing. They just see encrypted data. And in this encrypted data, basically you have some kind of JSON RPC like request and response. So what you can stuff in there is like, hey, I want to call this method. These are my parameters. And then, the signer will send back another, Nostr sign encrypted message with the response, which will be either an error or, the actual result of what's happening. And yeah, basically what's happening between your web app and your mobile app or your signer is literally like request and response. Like if the mobile app would be, think about of a server, but it's not a server, it's just your mobile app. And you just use Nostr to basically, to fetching your public key and signing events and many more, because actually you are not forced to only use Nostr functionalities, but you can also, for example, I don't know, add a method like sign PSBT, for example, right? If you want to do a coin join coordinator, Nostr Connect will be, a great fit, because you literally use Nostr, so you can use any relay of any stranger or your own relay to basically keep putting communication, your mobile app, which likely will have, your keys or a controller for an hardware wallet with maybe a web app coordinator. And how the signer, right, discover apps, right? Because the thing is that apps basically generate ephemeral keys whenever they spin up, and with that ephemeral keys, there will be the connection between your app and the signer. The idea will be to have either a QR code or a deep link, right, on your web app. And basically, this app signer, right, will either scan if it's a mobile app with a camera, or maybe will click if he's visiting in the same context, right? If he's visiting in the browser, we'll click this deep link, which will open the mobile app and will ask the user, hey, do you want to connect, right? If you accept, from that point on, right, the signer knows about the app, knows about the ephemeral pubkey the app, so knows who he's talking with, right? And from that point on, the app itself can prompt our signer mobile app to say, hey, give me your public key, or any other method. This Nostr Connect URI, which basically goes inside the QR code, is just a Nostr Connect prefix. It only has a prefix like Nostr Connect. It includes the app, the ephemeral app public key, and the relay to be used. It can be any relay, really. And most likely there will be custom relay or just specific relay that maybe just whitelist the specific Nostr Connect kind. But in general, you can use any relay out there. There is no modification. Relay doesn't need to know about it, because literally there is no modification to the Nostr protocol from the Nostr Connect side. And some metadata, right? Like the name of the web app, the URL, some logo, some description, and things like this. There are a couple of libraries already. So with my colleagues, I developed, the TypeScript reference SDK. So it will be very easy for web app. We are going to see later. It's very easy for web apps, to install this TypeScript library and, literally just create the connect URI and do all the life cycle of the connect, and also invoke the method like get public key or sign event. There is also another Rust crate built by an external contributor, which was absolutely great, and I'm very happy that this happened. So there is also a Rust library out there. Who are the signers at the moment? We develop a reference mobile app just as as an example, as a demo. We are not planning to put in really production, but the idea would be that any Bitcoin wallet, any other Nostr mobile client could literally take this as a reference implementation and implement in their own mobile app, right? And be a Nostr Connect signer. There is also a CLI, right, built in Rust with the same package that I showed before. So, okay, let's make NIP46 enable app, right? So let's integrate Nostr Connect in a Nostr client. So let me share my screen. All right. So I already have running on the right the Nostrum mobile app, which is a reference client as a signer, which allows you very quick. When you install, you can either paste some private key that you already have, or some mnemonic in general. And doing that, you will basically load your Nostr account. You can also create a new account. So let's create a new one. So this is the main screen. It's very simple. It's look like more like a Google Authenticator kind of application, right? So the idea will be that you have your Nostr ID here and your secret key, right? And from here we can connect to Nostr app, right? Here in the left, I basically forked this repository built by NTG2000. Thanks for doing this. And what I've done, and at the moment they're using, window.nostr, which is basically the protocol for interacting with browser extension. What we are going to do now is basically forking this and, adding Nostr Connect instead of just, a browser extension, right? I forked here under my username, GitHub username. I will share later definitely the link because there is already the final solution, so you can already go to the fine final solution, or you can just follow the workshop step by step with me. I have a README, and we can do this step by step. So the first thing is like, okay, let's clone this repository and start working on it. I hope it's big enough. Okay, I already have something here. Let me clone it here. Okay, so we clone our repository. Let's enter inside. So the first thing I want to do is installing all dependencies, right? All right, let me see if it works. All right, so this is basically just the bare repository, right? Which at the moment will require eventually your browser extensions. If I try to publish a note, yes, it basically says us, you don't have a Nostr extension. So we need to start working to, replace the extension with Nostr Connect. So let's open the code. So the first thing we want to do is installing some dependencies. First is what I mentioned before, the Nostr Connect SDK, right? And also some library that we are going to use, like showing the QR code. So library to show QR code, and also to persist in local storage the remote public key of our app. So we don't need to connect every time, right? So once we do the connection, we basically store it already. So let's install this. All right. So the first thing, okay, let's import these libraries, right? So let's go modify our app. So the app is basically very, very simple, right? So not that much code. So the first thing we want to do is importing this library. Next step we want to do is also, as I said, I want to store the public key of of the mobile phone once we connect, so we don't need to connect again. So I'm using this library, which basically store in the local storage of our browser app. I can put it here, I guess. All right. Okay, this is a bit of code. Let's copy and then let's go line by line so we can understand what it's doing. I think we can put it here. Do it smaller. So what this code is doing is basically, I'm creating an ephemeral secret key. This can be done randomly, but mostly just to allow for avoiding, creating multiple private keys, every time a React component loads. I'm just hard coding, but yeah, the idea would be that you should definitely, create a new ephemeral key every time you want to connect to a new app. I'm using my own relay here. Hopefully it's not too loaded. But I can use any other relay out there, really. So the first thing I want to do is I want to instantiate this Connect SDK. This Connect SDK is asking me two things, right? My relay, the relay that we want to use, and the secret key, right? The secret key of our ephemeral, key pair. This ephemeral, again, just to repeat, this key pair is only basically used by the app, right? It's only used by the app to send and receive message with the mobile app, right, via Nostr. But actually, it doesn't have any. It will never sign any notes. It will never sign any Nostr event at all. So we are basically just instantiating our SDK, and I'm only registering couple of callbacks when two events happens, right? So we have this connect events property, which basically is an event emitter, a Node.js event emitter for who knows, and we can basically bind our action to what happens. And when we connect, basically we get the public key of our mobile app. And so what I want to do here is basically on connect, I want to store the public key of the mobile phone in my local application, right, in my local storage. Of course, when we disconnect, I also want to clean up, so I also register this action here. All right, so I think this is it, right? More or less. The last thing I want to do in this batch of code is like, okay, now at the moment the application is showing our UI. I want to make it, I want to branch and show the QR code of the Nostr Connect URI in case we are not connected. So I'm going to take this code and replace in the return statement. So I replace this. Okay, 1 second. All right. Let me format a bit. So I didn't do any particular. I literally just, showing some other component in case, we are not connected. So let's see if all works. All right. So we don't see anymore anything, right? Because we are not connected, right? And now the next step after this is basically showing here the QR code or, a link. So our mobile phone can actually discover this web app, connect, and approve the connection. So the next step for us is just to keep the code a bit more separated. I want to create this component. I will call it Nostr Connect, and I will basically put the QR code and the UI to show to make the connection happen. So I can also go from here, I guess. Yes. So let's call it this file Nostr Connect. And copy paste all this code, and then now we go line by line and we see what this code is doing. So what I'm doing is importing this another special class that Nostr Connect SDK export, which is called Connect URI. And also I'm importing the QR code library. So we want to show is a simple React component. I have some some properties that I require, right? Some props that I require from top. One is the public key, right, to be used, the ephemeral public key of the app, the relay, and also some we need to register what happens on connect, on disconnect with the top, right? So the first thing what Connect URI does is very simple, is just getting some data to generate for us the Connect URI string. So we need first the target, which is again the ephemeral public key of the app. We need the relay, right? And then some optional, this is not mandatory, it's just optional, just to have a better UX for mobile apps, so they know they can show something to the user. So we can put some name here, like for example, Monster Workshop, some description, some URL. I could have done this also some icons, things like this, right? This is just metadata used to be shown to the user for a better UX. I'm adding here a very simple copy to clipboard, right? We will use later in the UI, so we can copy paste our Connect URI, right? Nothing big. So yeah, the UI is basically just a QR code and the Connect URI shown as a string, and a button to copy to clipboard, right? Very simple. So what we can do here now is replacing. I think I have done everything. Yes. So what we want to do is, replacing Nostr Connect now with this placeholder component that we put before. So basically, when we are not connected, we are showing this Nostr Connect URI QR code. Okay, we should import this from our components. And this, okay, we need the public key. So this is a Nostr tools method, so we can use it is already installed. All right, so let's see if everything works. All right, so at the moment, right, we are not connected, and we are showing as a first screen to the user our QR code that we can scan with a mobile app, or we can copy to the clipboard, right? And this is our public key, right? Our ephemeral public key that identifies our current web app. So let's try this, I guess. I think we have done everything. So I'm going to copy to clipboard, connect my app here on the right, with my Nostrum mobile phone. I will allow to paste. And as you can see, basically I extracted, in the Nostr signer, the Nostr Connect signer, from this URI can extract, the name, the description, and, now the user is in control and can decide to either, approve it or either reject it. So let's approve it. All right, so it happened. This is live. This is, the beauty of being live. It could have not worked, but it worked. So what it happened basically is that if we go back to our code, just to recap, so we binded, on connect and on disconnect from our Nostr Connect component, And also here we have some events, So when we detected our events on connect, what we have done is basically, setting our local storage the remote public key of the remote signer, and the UI basically switch back to the old UI before, because we have the pub key and we can go forward. So now this UI, of course, is not able to publish because we need to replace the browser extension, or at least branch it, switching base if you're using an extension, or if you're using Nostr Connect, but just for the sake of the demo, I'm going to replace it now, the code. But definitely would be nice that every web app will support both browser extension and Nostr Connect for mobile phones, basically. So what we need to do, okay, we just need to simply add this props to create note, Create note is the component that is already there, and create note, it allows you to basically write a note and do all the signing and all the broadcasting to the Nostr, So the first thing we want to do is okay, you have no props here because we're using connect. So let's pass some parameters, some connect parameters, I call it. The target again is the the remote pub key of the mobile app that we connected to. Again, the relay and the secret key used by the ephemeral secret key used by the app, the current web app. So this is the first step. The second step is okay, we want to replace now in the code, in the on submit function. Now we are assuming we are using a browser extension here, So here, actually, we want to move to Nostr Connect. So let's replace this check with the control on the connect parameters, So what we simply are doing is if it's null, if it's not empty, means to us that you are not connected, then you should not be in this UI, but this is just a check, Okay, next step after checking is simply replacing what now the extension is doing with window Nostr get pub key and window Nostr sign event with basically the same method, or exactly the same method, but from the connect SDK, So I want to replace all this code with this one. So first, let's import our connect class. Again, I'm passing in the same parameter plus the target this time, If you go back before, at the beginning, of course, we don't know the target because the target is basically known only when the user accepts on his mobile phone, and when basically only on connect we can know the target. So basically, we are instantiating and using the actual target. So connect knows who is the target of this basically request that is going to do, like get pub key or sign event and all other possible methods, that you can do. So here I'm just, I could have done, like this. I could have done, await, connect, get pub key, right? Let me see. Yeah, get pub key. I could have done like this, but just to save just an extra event to our relayer, I think we already have the public key, right, from our connect hook. So why not just using? So there is no need to ask again. But just in case if you lose it, you can definitely call it again. Here, basically, the sign event is basically giving us the full event, right? With already the ID calculated and the event and and the signature of the Nostr event. I'm just passing again the pub key here. And this call literally will go ask our mobile app, right, to sign an event, right? And maybe one thing we can do is adding here a console log so we can know the event ID. Okay, so we can actually see something. All right, let me see what missing. Okay, yeah, I need to pass the new parameter, right? All right, looks good to me. Let's see. Yeah, we have the connect, we have everything. All right. Let's see, my relay is a bit loaded last days, so let's see if it works. So let's do again so let's write a note. Hello from the workshop. All right, so basically what it happened now is like with the target, since we know now, we go invoking prompting our remote signer to say, hey, can you sign for me, this event? And, the mobile app is showing nicely to the user, say, hey, this is a kind one. Nostr Workshop was the name of the app, basically asked you to sign a kind one, created this time, signed by you, right? So he's basically like asking us into by ourselves, right? And then also the content, right? Hello from the workshop. So let's approve it. Right. So let's see in the console. There should be our event ID. Yes, is here. Let's go Nostr gateway. It's called, I guess. I think I added it already. Yeah, this one. Let's check our ID. It should be visible. Yes. All right, hello from the workshop. So we basically publish our first, event, and all of this without pasting our private keys in the browser and without having an actual extension, right? So this could even be, your own mobile browser. It should not be just the desktop. It could just be the mobile browser, and the mobile app will basically prompt for you. So far, so good, I guess. Yes. So let me stop sharing. I think this is it, right? So it doesn't take much. Literally, the SDK abstract all this complexity for web developer. Of course, it took a bit of more code, mostly because it was the UI code and trying to integrate to an already existing web app. But the idea is basically, with the TypeScript SDK, you can implement, integrate in any web app with very few lines of code. And also the TypeScript SDK, if you have a React Native app, for example, or some other hybrid JavaScript solution for mobile apps, you can also use Connect for the the remote signer side of it. So yeah, I think this is it. I'm pretty sure that we can do much more things, right? Like invoking or adding methods like, hey, can you sign me a PSBT, right? If you want to do some Bitcoin remote signing, like signing transaction. But I think this is it.
This is fantastic, and it's amazing how quickly you ended up putting that together. MTG here, who you cloned the repo from, he said it's really easy to use it. So Now, you definitely showed the part of Nostr Connect where like the client is implemented, right? What if people want to implement this on their, in their own mobile client, for example, that are holding keys?
Yes. Let me show a little bit of the documentation of the Nostr Connect SDK to also see the other side, right? To also see how, if I have a mobile app and maybe a Bitcoin wallet or any other, mobile app that already owns keys for the user and maybe wants to add Nostr, he wants to become a remote signer for Nostr web apps. So let me share again.
Yeah, and because I'm assuming that it is the mobile application that's going to need to, like, if you want to extend it to PSBT, it needs to
Yep.
be able to have that integrated on the mobile side, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the remote signer are from the NIP, they are forced to implement get public key and sign event, which is exactly the same like browser extension works. But you're free to add even more methods. So if the web apps knows that you have more methods, why not just add more methods and the web app will call non-standard methods. Let's say there is a describe method as well in the NIP. So you, as a client, you know what your remote signer basically is supporting, right? Or what type of methods you can call it. So let's go see if we go to, there's an organization, right? Which is Nostr Connect. Nostr Connect is basically hosting both Nostrum, which is this reference mobile app here that you can see on the side, and you have the Connect, the Connect TypeScript SDK. In the future, if when I had time, I would love to have SDK for any language, like SDK for Swift, right, for iOS or Android, and trying to have all possible easy code for any language out there. So at the moment, the TypeScript SDK works both for two type of user, right? Both the app developer, which is what's in the workshop we saw today, right? So we saw basically this, and also for wallet/remote signer, right? That it can be again Bitcoin wallets. It can be any other wallets that are already holding keys for the user. So let's see this part again. As I was saying, as per NIP 46, the signer must implement these two methods, get public key and sign event. This is the bare minimum, right? Because this is what Nostr clients every time wants. They want to get your public key and they want your sign event. But actually, there is, you basically, you can extend your own handler. It looks like more like as a server, like your mobile app becomes like some sort of server, right? And you are basically creating your own API. That's the idea. And you are not like forced just for this to, can literally just add a new method here, like, I don't know, hello Tiero, right? I can literally do that, right? And the web apps will be able to call hello Tiero and something will be sent through the wire. And in this case, the wire is Nostr itself.
Wow. Damn. Okay, and this is where you probably define your your function to do the PSBT signing or something like
Yes,
that. You run
exactly.
JS or something.
Let me see Nostrum already, because Nostrum already supports sign schnorr, for example. So I can sign arbitrary message. So let me see.
And yeah, definitely, like, these are the kind of components like where you can definitely see how Bitcoin and Nostr are kind of like used together, and like Nostr provides that kind of like bridge for some of these collaborative kind of functions that we want to have. And yeah, definitely, we're going beyond just like scanning QR codes and payments and stuff like this. It's I guess into some very interesting territory, I think.
Absolutely. And for example, Nostrum at this time also support Delegate, which is NIP 26, I guess, the number, and Delegate, which will imagine that you're doing like a chat. If you're doing a chat, every time you want to send a message or you don't want to, pick up your phone and confirm, right? Yes, I want to do it. That makes sense for Bitcoin transaction or things like this. But if you're doing a chat maybe you want to authorize your web app for 1 hour, right? So what you can do is basically the web app will call the delegate, and the delegate basically will grant to the ephemeral, keeper of the web app, just for 1 hour, it will grant authorization to basically send message on yourself. So yeah, for chat, definitely you can improve the UX using delegate. And also here I added this out of band, out of protocol method, which is sign Schnorr. It's doing a Schnorr signature, and I can, sign taproot input, for example. I can do just arbitrary signature here. And yeah, there is a bit, just some event emitter going around just to show to the UI. But really what I've done here is just say, give me your message as a parameter. Let's make a signature here, and that will get you back, your signature once done.
Nice. Oh, that's fantastic, man. That's thanks for that. There's a comment from MTG. Is the app stable and ready to be used in production yet? If not, when do you think it could become so? So I guess that's a question around like what is the future of that remote signer that you were showing, and yeah, how do you see the remote signer part being adopted?
Yeah, I think Nostrum for now was just a reference implementation. So we are not planning really to maintaining or keep it, as production as possible, although you can use it already. So as a demo, as for developer, just to have a mobile app already live, there is a test flight and also an APK for Android. So just as a reference demo, as an example, just to to build your apps, you can definitely use it. And but again, we don't want to push it because it requires a bit of audits on the key management part. But actually, on my own company, we also develop a wallet, Marina Wallet, that now is a browser extension, but we are working on a mobile app now, which will support, even Bitcoin, right? Taproot Bitcoin and in general more stuff. And we want to be maybe if there are other, I would be happy, but also will be one of the first production ready Nostr Connect clients. So yeah, Marina Wallet definitely. I don't want to give timelines, but yes, we are working on it, and very soon I hope to publish it, and that will be definitely maybe the more production ready mobile app. But again, Nostrum is there. You can definitely use it as a developer just to prepare, right? Just to prepare, because I'm talking with a lot of other Bitcoin wallets or in general like Nostr clients, and I'm pretty sure that if this gets traction on the web app side, every other Nostr mobile app will definitely want to be a Nostr Connect client. It's just a couple of lines of code to implement, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like the two-sided thing. You need to get the more remote signers, and you also need to get more applications and stuff. But yeah, I hope this definitely raise awareness to it. And like again, this is like those functions of signing events. That's just the tip of the iceberg here. What this can do is something that I've been waiting for so long within the Bitcoin ecosystem. So I'm super excited by it.
100%, 100%.
Well, I don't have any more questions for now. I think I would just encourage any developers out there. Damas, one of the most popular applications. Let's get it in Damas. I would love to see that. That would be fantastic. Maybe we get it in Bitcoin Beach or something. I don't know. We need to go and start shilling it to everyone, so that all these applications become mobile signers. And if you're an app developer, like a web app developer, definitely check out the documentation. We'll post the links and stuff for that. Yeah, this is fantastic. Again, these are building blocks that's really going to transform the way we interact with Bitcoin keys and web applications, and who knows what beyond that, right? So
yeah,
super
100%.
excited.
And just to double down on what you said, my main also, I would say pet peeve is like every time, especially in Bitcoin space, you want to create a new use case for Bitcoin. Let's say, I don't know, I want to do a coin join app, or I want to do I don't know, a time-locked wallet, a simple time-locked wallet, right? That currently maybe the major Bitcoin wallet not supporting that type of script, right? You need to build your own new wallet. I have a saying with my friends and colleagues. It's saying yet another Bitcoin wallet, right? Meaning that every time you want to do a use case, at the moment the ecosystem basically push you to create your own wallet, right, from scratch every time. Because of course you need to handle script and addresses in a different way. But I really think that if we could have a way where we can stabilize and basically with separation of concern, right? So there will be Bitcoin wallet developer which will basically just work on key management and low level part, and then just expose some APIs and say, hey, I support PSBT, right? You want to sign this PSBT for anything really, right? From CoinJoin or an offer for some inscription, whatever, right? Really, you can really be modular and supporting use case without being supported directly by the mobile app developer, right? You just expose some API, and then web app developer will be free to create different kind of transaction, different kind of Bitcoin use case.
Yeah, and managing all these keys and stuff like that is just a pain. I'll tell you that. A lot of these wallets have all different formats, and like you have to remember how you backed it up, and some of them are old, some of them are shutting down, and so yeah, at least if you could pay a lot of your attention into like securing that single key, I think there's some benefits there. Of course, certain trade-offs. You might say you want more distribution and stuff like that, but I think my opinion is that is focus on securing that single key as much as possible. But yeah, well, I don't really have much questions. I think I got nothing else left. I would just encourage everyone to check out Nostr Connect again. The remote signer side, implementing it into your applications. And yeah, thank you so much, Tiara. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
All right. Tomorrow we're going to be having check-ins, Nostr Hack check-ins. So any teams who want some advice and stuff, maybe you could come join us on those.
100%.
If someone has some questions about implementing it or whatnot.
100%. Thank you again for this opportunity. Like, I was very excited. And again, if you have any question about, Nostr Connect, I would really love to help any developer here out there. So please reach me out, Twitter, Nostr Key as well. Please reach me out, and I will try to help you when I can. Right.
All right. We'll drop all those in the YouTube description. Thank you so much, everyone. Ciao.
Ciao.